Hi, and welcome to our 7th week of video broadcasting, or video podcasting, whatever you want to call it. Today we're talking about social knowledge, participatory learning, and connectivism. Now, before we go there, we need to cover a couple of reports that we covered in the beginning of our class today, which was really great to know and really informative to know. As you remember, last week was about OCWs and OERs, and it was really interesting to see all these reports presented by our colleagues and know all this information. I'll talk about three of these reports just in a few minutes, just to make sure we cover it, because it's really important. The first report was the one done by Open Educational Practices and Resources. And it's really great. It's about how to find your own voice within the open source, the open courseware and open educationalware, and how to approach these ways and providing us with models and ways of integrating these into our own education. This one is really a must-read for everyone interested in an OER or OCW's environment and how to target them in any educational setting. The second one is the review of an open educational resources movement, the achievement challenges and new opportunities. This one is really also great because it covered all the major problems and issues within OER's movement and how users, whether they are teachers, organization, management, corporates, government, how can they address them and find their own tailored solutions. And the third one, the JISC study of sustaining digital resources. It's previously they have gave a 12 model for sustainability for open OERs and OCWs, but now they are providing us with solid examples of real life experiments and organizations that had followed their sustainability models and how they find them interesting and good to use. All these reports are extensive reading, but they are really worth reading, and they provide the reader with a great information about OER and OCWs. We'll keep it there. We don't want to take too much of this week's topic. So going back to social learning, connectivism, and participatory learning. Today, this week's topic was really interesting because it's all about how do we learn and how do we approach learning and how do we find our own a definition of learning. We covered a lot of ground. We started with a couple of videos from GSB. He's a really famous guy in John Seeley Brown in the new culture of learning and how we should be looking into new ways of acquiring knowledge and new way of creating context rather than content, and also that it is time to find a new learning approach. And he gave examples of those great servers, young ones who became champions, and a couple of points that I will go back at the end of my blog. The second video that we covered also was Mimi Ito and her social media and how we can connect this great tool to learning, and how we can find ways to integrate social media into learning in a meaningful and productive ways. And that takes us to the second part of our week, which is the connectivism, which is a concept that states that we learn through connection and networks, and learning is mainly happening outside. It's external. George Siemens, who is a prominent speaker about connectivism, and he's the one who created the whole notion of connectivism, is giving us all these ideas about how do we use to define learning and how we learn, and all these had to do with internal cognition, constructivism, behaviorism. Nothing is mentioned about what's happening outside the brain, what's happening outside the people, like what's happening outside the learner, between the people and the content, the knowledge. He's promoting that connectivism is the new way or the new learning theory by establishing that we learn through connections and through networks. And a couple of his ideas and principles. For example, he said that learning in the 21st century is driven by the desire to make sense, understand, and develop and become a contributor, which is true. What I found really difficult to understand is that he put connectivism in an isolated area without any contribution from the other learning theories that we already know of, and that makes it really hard to me, because the way I see it is that connectivism is more of a learning style, more of a learning approach rather than a learning theory, because I really find it hard to find any theory behind this. It's just a thought that's been thrown out there. He says that the content central view of learning loses effectiveness in the environments that are rapidly changing and adapting, which is also true to our current state of knowledge and environment. But still, there is no connection with how we interact with this rapidly changing environment. It's true by connecting with networks, but I don't think it's solely happening out there. There is something also happening internally, cognitively, constructively, and it has to be acknowledged. You cannot just say it's happening out there and that's it. We also watch a couple of his videos online about conflicts of learning theories, and 4 more topics, including which ones they were. Changing nature of knowledge, impact of social software, and the network is the learning, which is his main argument, is that network is the learning. I find it really hard, so I really think I'm going to wait and see how this whole issue of connectivism start to take shape and evolve into a more clear idea. To wrap up this video blog, I will give you 2 points as usual take home. The first one is that, as we discussed in the class, the quality of OERs and OCWs, and including things that thrown out there like connectivism, a person needs to be careful about what he or she chooses to adopt into his teaching, into his learning. And we were discussing, and we are hoping to find that a new measurement or a standard of quality will come up soon, so we can reflect upon before adopting any of these ideas out there. So just be careful with those things. And the other thought, which is GSB's comment that if you're not in this world, if you're not curious, you are screwed. And I really believe in that. With all those information and knowledge and so many things happening out there, a person has to be self-motivated. You have to be encouraged to go out there and participate in your own learning and teaching. You cannot just wait around and wait for someone to come in and tell you what you want to do or what you should do. It's all about being self-motivated, and you have to create and tailor your own way of learning. I hope that clarifies this week's topic, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.